Hello and welcome back for a webinar on spatial sense organs. My dear students, we are studying spatial sense organs for last 3 days and we have completed almost 3 out of 4 spatial senses or spatial sense organs. And today we will proceed with our further study, and that is the last episode on spatial sense organs, and that is episode number 3. So I welcome you all back again for this webinar. We have talked about two chemical senses or two chemical sense organs, and those are smell and taste. So the jasmine flower has got very pleasant smell, okay, mogra what we call. And this is the season of jasmine, mogra. We have also studied vision yesterday. That means 3 out of 4 spatial senses we have finished so far, and today we will deal with spatial sense of hearing. So fourth one, okay, remember there are 4 spatial senses. Well, today's topic is of course on hearing, H-E-A-R-I-N-G. Hearing means also called as audition. But the ear has got two functions, because it has got a vestibule and a cochlea. Cochlea is for hearing and vestibule is for balance, equilibrium. So some people count balance or equilibrium along with hearing, and they make a confusion regarding 5 spatial senses. So there are no 5 spatial senses, only 4 spatial senses. Balance is not a spatial sense, okay? That is a different entity. Now in hearing, we have to understand the outline of structure of the ear. You all know that ear has got 3 parts, because this is already taught to you during your junior college days. Ear has got an external ear, then it has got a middle ear, then it has got an internal ear. The external ear is also called as outer ear, and it has got a pinna. My pinna is hidden because of this headphone. So pinna is easily seen from outside. So it is also called as auricle. So that auricle or pinna is not external ear, it's part of external ear, because external ear is still inside. Full external auditory meatus and external auditory canal. So that is also part of external ear, which contains ceruminous glands. Ceruminous glands means those glands which produce oily substance, which is called as wax, wax glands. So those are the wax glands, means ceruminous glands, okay? So every time you have to put your at least little finger or earbud to clean your ear, external ear, because you cannot enter into the middle ear. There is a tympanic membrane there. So tympanic membrane means eardrum, which is located in between external ear and middle ear. So it is called as boundary between outer and middle ear, okay? And the ceruminous secretion is essential for the protection of ear, because it is sticky, oily, so anything entering in the ear can get stuck up. So in order to protect it, so you should not totally clean the ear. Only excess amount of wax has to be removed, okay? Well, and here is an image of full ear showing you the part of ear, that is external ear. You can see this external ear, and this is your pinna. Pinna also has got different parts like helix, antihelix, ear lobule, okay? And this is your external auditory meatus or canal, and here is the eardrum. From here onward there is a middle ear. Middle ear is very small actually, but it's very important. And there is an internal ear which has got 2 parts, vestibule and cochlea, okay? And from middle ear there is a connection to the nasopharynx, and that is called as Eustachian tube, because it was discovered by Eustachius. Or it's also called pharyngotympanic tube, also called as auditory tube. It's got three names. We will come to ear back. Here you can see another image of ear in which you can see the external ear in the external cavity. The external is quite big, you know, because of auricle size. Auricle is quite big. And you can see the eardrum. Eardrum is also called as myringa. Okay, myringa is a Latin name for that. And also called as tympanic membrane. What is membranous? And then there is a middle ear. So pink is a middle ear. It has air ossicles, stapes, malleus, and incus. And this middle ear is connected to the nasopharynx by eustachian tube. And here you can see the internal ear. Internal has got two major parts, cochlea and the vestibule. Cochlea is for hearing, vestibule is for balance or equilibrium. It has semicircular canals. And here there is a nerve supply to the ear which is done by vestibulocochlear nerve. So that is why it is called as vestibulocochlear nerve. Auditory nerve becomes, you know, little what do you call uh, meaningless, because it is not only for audition, it is also for hearing. Vestibulocochlear nerve. So vestibulocochlear nerve has got two parts, vestibular part and cochlear part. So it is also for hearing and also for equilibrium. And it is sensory, pure sensory now, and not only pure sensory, it is also spatial sensory because it is for hearing, and it takes hearing impulse to sound waves are converted into electrical impulses, and those are taken to the cerebrum in the temporal lobe. In the temporal, there is a there is a hearing area. I told you during the study of brain, and that primary hearing area is area number 41, 42, and there is a secondary area called as 20, 21, 22. So there actually recognition of sound and interpretation of sound is done. So today I told you about the what you call uh, smell for nose, you know, similarly sound, what kind of smell. So I told you the jasmine flower has got a smell, typical smell. So you know the smell and what smell. So jasmine smell. Similarly, you heard sound today while singing. So here you heard some sound. Then whose sound? So it was not donkey's sound, it was my sound. So that is how you recognize with the help of ear. Okay. And now we will go to middle ear. Middle ear is also called as tympanic cavity. So there is a mastoid antrum with the canal leading to the mastoid process. So mastoid process is behind the ear. It also contains air spaces, just like paranasal air sinuses bones. So there is a canal leading to mastoid process. It's called a mastoid antrum. And there is a pharyngotympanic tube, which is also called as auditory tube, which is also called as eustachian tube. Eustachian has come from what? Eustachius. Eustachius is an anatomist. And this auditory tube is meant for equalization of pressure on the eardrum. So there is a eardrum between middle ear and external ear. If the air pressure, environment pressure comes on the eardrum from this side, that has to be balanced from this side also by another ear. So the air which you take from nose or also from mouth, it goes inside, and from eustachian tube, it goes into the middle ear and opposes the other ear. So that is why the eardrum doesn't get collapsed or what you call ruptured, or it can be due to pressure. So there has to be a provision, and there is a provision. Okay. So for balancing or equalization of pressure on both the sides of eardrum. Now there are three air ossicles in the ear, and that those ossicles also we have studied during the study of general osteology. Okay, those are part of axial skeleton. Malleus means which looks like hammer. Incus means which looks like anvil. So anvil is a, you know, it's a game article which comes back when you throw. Okay, and there is a stapes. Stapes means stirrer. The stirrer also, you can stir up means with the help of which you can stir the liquid. And there are ear muscles which are intrinsic muscle in the ear, and those are tensor tympani. This tensor tympani muscle is required for you know, applying tension to the eardrum. And there is a muscle called as stapedius. Stapedius is attached to the stapes muscle, stapes bone, and it moves this stapes. So this is called as stapedius. So stapes is the smallest bone in the body. It is the smallest in the ear ossicles also, and the smallest in the body. The stapedius muscle is smallest in the body. Here you can see these three ossicles. Here you can see the tensor tympanic muscle which is attached to the tympanic membrane. And here you can see the pharyngotympanic tube, auditory tube. So above auditory tube, there is a tensor tympanic muscle. And these are the aerocycles. Malleus, which looks like hammer. Then incus, which looks like anvil. And there is a stapes, which looks like stirrer. And you can see the stapedius muscle attached to the stapes here. And this stapedius muscle. Here you can see small muscle. And here you can see the epitympanic recess. Recess means space, okay? And this is about, your middle ear and auditory tube. In this diagram, you can see these two things. And here the air ossicles which are taken out from the middle ear and shown separately and together also. In this picture, you can see all three of them. Here you can see all three of them separated. Here you can see another image of incus. Okay, the stapes, smallest bone of the body. Once again, I'm trying to tell you, longest bone is a femur, largest bone is your hip bones. Okay, likewise. Now we'll go to the internal ear. Internal ear has a bony labyrinth. Bony means osseous labyrinth or bony labyrinth made up of bone, and it has got a cochlea-like structure which looks like a snail, goggle guy. It is for hearing, and there are semicircular canals. So semicircular canals are for the balance. Balance means equilibrium. And vestibule is a central cavity. Plus, it has internal ear also has got membranous labyrinth. So bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth. Membrane labyrinth have perilimb surrounds membrane structures and endolimb which fills membrane structures. So these are the fluids which are present in that labyrinth. Here you can see the inner ear or internal ear structure, cochlear and vestibular parts. You can see in this image, say vestibular semicircular canals, utricle and succular. You see in cochlear, you can see traveling waves, traveling wave, and we'll come to this later, the details of it in a follow-through slide. You can see succule is smaller sac nearer to the cochlea, and utricle is a larger sac nearer to the semicircular canals. And maculae receptors for balance and head position. So there are receptors for balance and hair position also. So that is why there are receptors for hearing also. And hearing receptors called as organ of Corti. We'll come to that point later on. Here you can see the semicircular ducts connect canals to utricule, and ampulla, swollen base canals, which houses crista ampullaris, receptors for head movement. Okay. So what is the mechanism of equilibrium? Static equilibrium means position of the head. Maculae, receptors for static equilibrium. So together with hearing, we are discussing even equilibrium, and supporting cells contain hair cells embedded in gel-like otolithic membrane. So now word oto is for ear. So that is why inflammation of the middle ear is called as otitis media, and inflammation of internal ear, otitis interna. Inflammation of otitis externa. So otitis media is very common. Okay, ear infection is very common. Otitis media. Now, dynamic equilibrium, crista ampullaris, which is located in the ampulla, has supporting cells, hair cells, cupula, galled mass resembling a pointed cap, and responds to rotational stimuli. And here you can see the internal ear structure. You can see the cochlea, you can see the semicircular canal. And here you can see the vestibule nerve fibers. Again, nerve fibers, they are connected to hair cells. Okay. Cochlea has got mediolus, which is a bony pillar at center, and it has got a cochlear duct, which is wedge-shaped duct containing organ of Corti. Now remember this word organ of Corti. Organ of Corti is the exact receptor which contains the hair cells, and these are the receptors for hearing. Organ of corti, receptor for hearing. So now we have almost completed all the receptors of all four spatial senses. Okay, organ of corti for hearing. So if you come in the vision, there are rods and cones. So those are receptors of vision. Now if you come to taste, there are taste buds, which are having gustatory cells. So those are receptors of taste sensation. And in the nose, there are olfactory cells in the nasal mucosa, and those are the receptor cells of smell. So all four receptors you know by this time. Organ of corti is commonly asked for short notes. Now there are scalas, means chambers. So these are the scalae vestibuli, scalae media, scalae tympani. Depending upon their location, these are the three chambers. Now vestibular membrane is at roof of cochlear duct, and basilar membrane is forms floor of cochlear duct. Here you can see those different structures like malleolus. And now this is in total depth. Here you can see the oval window, round window. When question is asked usually on in middle ear or internal ear, and it is for 10 marks. In I think in question number paper 1 and question number 4. Question number 4 usually full question for 10 marks is asked on middle ear or internal ear. At that time you have to remember all this. Now what is the sound and mechanism of hearing? The properties of sounds where you require frequency measure in hertz. Hertz word you must have uh, heard earlier. Usually it is told on radios. And amplitude is measured in decibel. So decibel short form is dB. Logarithmic exponent of 10. So 0 decibel hearing threshold, 50 decibel normal conversation. So what we are doing now is a normal conversation. I am speaking and you are hearing. So if it is danger zone, the decibel goes to 90. And rock concert means where there is a rock band or Dolby, what you call, they are up to 120 decibels. So above danger zone means above 90, it is 120 decibels. And when it is 130 decibel, you get a pain in the ear. So that is pain threshold. Above that, you cannot tolerate sound. And this is the graph to show pressure and time, high amplitude and low amplitude. You can see, red graph of high amplitude and a blue graph of low amplitude. Okay, and that is why this is related to noise pollution or sound pollution. So anything that hurts human being, hearing apparatus, that is called as noise pollution. So the government and administration is after restrictions. Nowadays there is a restriction on use of Dolby up to a certain decibels of or sound. The youngsters don't understand it unless and until they study a year and what you call sound and mechanism of hearing. Here you can see another graph of high and low frequency. That means high pitch and low pitch. Okay. Transmission of sound to the inner ear. Now sound waves, when they come from atmosphere, they travel through the external auditory meatus or canal, and they hit the eardrum. The eardrum starts vibrating. The vibration of eardrum causes movements in the aerocycles, and through aerocycle there is a conduction of sound waves, and finally it is brought to the inner ear. Here the sound waves are converted into electrical waves. So the electric impulses are carried by the nervous system. So nervous system requires everything in electrical impulse. Okay. So vibrations transferred from ear to the tympanic membrane, to the malleus, to the incus, to the stapes, to the oval window, then to the cochlear fluid, causing resonance of the basilar membrane. So this is resonance. And this basilar membrane contains fibers of different length that resonate to different frequencies from high to low. Okay. and the excitation of hair cells in the organ of Corti. So organ of Corti is a receptor, and there are hair cells in specific receptors are hair cells. So organ of Corti rest atop the basilar membrane. So on above basilar membrane there are organ of Corti. Okay, organ of Corti also they call, and contains approximately 16,000 cochlear hair cells. Okay. Now, auditory processing, how this hearing is processed. Perception of pitch, specific hair in specific section of basilar membrane identify the pitch. And a detection of loudness. Some hair cells for a certain frequency require stronger stimulation. More stimulation is equal to more hair cells is equal to louder perception. And localization of sound is identified by timing and intensity. Now, as usual, homeostatic imbalance of hearing also we'll try to understand, just like we understood homeostatic of what you call study vision, okay, and also nose. In nose we study about anosmia. Anosmia means no sensation of smell. Similarly, here imbalance is deafness. Homeostatic imbalances. Deafness means unable to hear. ऐकायला न येणे. Okay, so conduction deafness means there is a deafness due to conduction problem. Possible causes include ear wax. So कानाच्या external ear मध्ये wax खूप भरला असेल तर, so that is called, it becomes packed. So that is one occlusion, or there is a what you call obstacle of allowing the sound waves to enter. Perforated eardrum. So if the eardrum is torn, फाटलेली असेल तर perforated. If it is inflamed, the inflammation of inflammation of eardrum is called as myringitis, because myringa is an anatomical name. Or osteosclerosis, or osteoclasis is related to bones. Otosclerosis, oto is related to ear. Sensorineural deafness due to nerve damage, another type of deafness due to nerve damage. Now it is inside, the cause is inside. Tinnitus is one symptom where there is a sound created in the ear. So ringing in the ear, heard only by the patient, is called as tinnitus. The patient come and tell us कानात आवाज येतो, so that is tinnitus. And Meniere's syndrome is very common, and it is related to vertigo. Vertigo म्हणजे चक्कर येणे. Attacks of dizziness. Dizziness means again चक्कर आल्यासारखं होणे. Nausea, उलटी झाल्यासारखं होणे. Caused by excess endolymph in the membranous labyrinth. And it was discovered by Meniere. So it's called as Meniere's syndrome or Meniere's disease. Okay. And well, my dear students, we have almost covered all the 4 special sense organs. I told you in the beginning also that we are going to study these the anatomy of these different organs in a separate webinars. But for altogether study of special sense organs, I have decided to go for this program, and this program I have finished today. So there are SSO means special sense organs. Special sense organs are 4 in number: nose, tongue, eye, and ear. The nose is for smell, olfaction; tongue is for taste, gustation; eye is for vision or sight; and ear is for hearing or audition, along with equilibrium and balance. So we have finished here today, and with this, thank you all for patiently listening to me. We have covered this whole chapter of spatial sense organs. The next week we will start the spatial sense organ anatomy one by one. And with this end this webinar as well as this chapter of sense organs or spatial sense organs. With this, I end this program over here. Thank you. Thanks a lot. See you again in the next week with a proper or exact or specific study of anatomy of nose, ear, eyes, tongue, and so on. Thank you.